Hello everybody. It's been a while, so I just thought I'd make a video and just kind of update on things that I'm enjoying or doing or whatever. I didn't really feel like I had anything specific to make a video on, except for I guess what I'm reading and kind of the games I'm playing and stuff like that. And my life is super busy right now. I am a preschool teacher and I'm preparing to start class in a couple of weeks and things like that. So things are busy, and I am also a children's ministry leader at my church, and so that's also because of back to school, trying to do some things to um, cheer the kids up in the coming time. Although I think that the children usually really enjoy going back to school after a summer, especially if they haven't gotten to see all their school friends and things like that. So I think that they're actually going to be excited for it. But it's hard when summer ends, and summer is coming to its close faster than I would have liked. So life is busy, but it's a very good busy. Praise God. And so I just thought I'd talk about things that I'm enjoying right now. Also, I love you're not going to be able to tell, but my nail polish is like this type of nail polish. It's called Color Shift. And so sometimes it looks like blackish, sometimes it looks purple, sometimes it looks like copper. It's like so sick. Like it depends on the way the light shines on it. So I'm very distracted by my nails because I never paint my nails. So just so you know. I'll start with games that I'm playing because games are fun. I don't play them as often as I used to when I was younger, but I still enjoy it once in a while. And I've got me my little switchy switch here, which is pink underneath this. I got this in 2020 after I got a job at, I had lost my job, everything shut down, and I lost my job, but I got a job again at Target, and because I had a discount, I got myself switched to have some fun over the pandemic. Um, so this was great. This was a fun little thing. And I honestly, like, I will go through seasons of not touching this thing at all for months at a period of time to like playing it like once a week or twice a week or something like that whenever I can get a little downtime. So, um, but anyway, so it's really fun. Originally, the first game that I got on the game that I got with this was Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive edition. Love that game. It took me forever to finish it because I'm a completionist. Like not like a completionist with like everything, but with any side quests, I'm a completionist. Like I don't have to gather all the items, and I don't have to do like all of the things. Like if there's mini games, forget it. I hate mini games, but I will do all the side quests because I want to know all the things. So it took me forever to finish it, but I did. It took me like 2 years, I feel like, because I was so slow. And then and I acquired a few other games that are fun to play. But when for Christmas, like a year ago or something, I think it was a while, I got a gift card for the Switch, like the online store or whatever. And so I bought a few Final Fantasy games. The remastered version of 8, the remastered version of 9, and the remastered version of 6, I think. Which the one with Terra in it, which I think is 6, I want to say. And I already had Final Fantasy 7, so I literally have 6, 7, 8, and 9 on my Switch. Um, but anyway, that's besides the point. So I finally, after years, decided to pick up actually playing 9. I always felt like I hated the way the characters looked and the graphics of 9, that I never looked into it at all. I just thought like, like Steiner and I don't, I call it him, she, whatever. I don't know what it is. I call it quinoa, but I think it's Cuna. Cuna? I'm not sure. But anyway, quinoa. Everyone's gonna be so mad. But that character I thought the characters looked so bizarre to me, especially since like my first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy 7. And the first one that was my first introduction to it through Advent Children, which is the movie. So technically I didn't play the game, okay, so my bad. But the first game I played was 10. And so I'm used to very realistic looking characters, human looking characters. So 9 was just unappealing to me and I didn't understand it. I totally missed out on how beautiful this game is. This, honestly, playing through 9 has reminded me of like what Final Fantasy was about, because I have been disillusioned by the newer Final Fantasies. Like, I hated 16. It was such trash. I'm so sorry. But it is so bad. If you like it, fine, whatever. I liked some of the characters. I hated it, the game itself. It was terrible. And I played through the whole thing and I did all the side quests, so don't come at me. I tried. Um but that, like, it is just chef's kiss. 9 is so much fun. I get why everybody loves it, and also I do not care about the character designs. I think it's charming. It reminds me a lot of 12, especially with like the mist and the characters that are like kind of like almost different. I mean, like almost alien looking creatures, like very like a lot of variety. And I just freaking love it, dude. It's so good. Like, I get it. And like the adventure itself is so like classic Final Fantasy, but every reveal and every new place that you go was so much fun for me. Like, I think my favorite was when you start getting like when you get past the initial like, because there's always like there's something that thrusts you into the story immediately, and that is okay. This game is really old, so spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil Final Fantasy 9 for you. Okay, if you were like me and have not played it, then run for the hills. But so essentially it starts out with Zidane, I think is how you say his name, love him, by the way, uh kidnapping a princess, or like trying to. Technically she kind of just runs away, but whatever. And then you realize that the queen, who is Dagger's adopted mother, she is like trying to start a war and trying to gather all the eidolons, which eidolons are just summons, which are in Final Fantasy characters that you can summon to fight your battles for you, essentially. And they're usually like based on like mythical kind of like monsters. Um, and so she's trying to get power. I don't need to keep holding this. She's trying to get power in doing this. And she ends up getting some of the summons, and the queen does, and the queen starts like massacring just people. Okay, and you're going like entire cities and towns of people and groups of people she's completely destroying. So basically your first like objective is you're trying to like warn these people and you're trying to help these people, and you fail every time, but like you're trying to. So these huge like genocidal things are happening, and then eventually you stop the queen, but then you realize that it wasn't really the queen, but this guy that's been like, you've seen him around but you don't know who he is, and his name's Kuja. He is the craziest outfit I've ever seen on a character, and I've seen Kuja before. I've always been baffled at his outfit. That has not changed. I'm just like, even his in this like 2D graphic. I mean, I guess it's 3D, but like, like the smaller, like almost a little bit more pixelated graphics. I'm like, what the freak is Kujo wearing, bro? This guy is crazy. Why is he like almost naked? I have no idea. But anyway, that's weird. But he is the villain, so villains be villaining, and their fashion sense is insane. There's no modesty. Okay. But anyway, so you see him running around, you don't really know who he is, but you gotta find out. And that is when 9 takes off for me. Like, I was having fun. Well, not fun. I was feeling sad for the people that were dying, but like, I was having fun trying to figure out how to stop the queen. But like, once you are going after Kuja and you realize that he's the villain, I was like, OT. And then you find out there's like somebody else as well who's behind the scenes here, and you're like, what? Creepy old man in like an outfit that looks very sci-fi, like this, that doesn't really suit the vibe. So like, what's going on? Oh my gosh, that's when the game freaking takes off, bro. It's so good. Like, my favorite locations are Kuja's castle, which is under sand. Okay, you have to fall down through like a sand pit to get to his castle. Completely doesn't make any sense to me. But the adventure, like, there's like this puzzle that you have to go through his castle to escape. Bro, it's my favorite kind of puzzle, because it's a kind of puzzle where like I did miss some items just because it's very pixelated and hard to see, and they're very small, and you have to be exact right angle to like notice that it's there. So like, sure, whatever. But all I had to do was backtrack. Hi, bud. And then like I found everything. But like, it's the kind of puzzle where it like just automatically, like, you press buttons, or you do something, or you check out the room and find the mystery, you listen to the clues, whatever, and then you end up, like, it just leads into the next thing, into the next thing. It is like such a smooth puzzle. it's simple, but I love puzzles that just automatically lead into the next puzzle. It just draws you into the adventure, okay? And his castle was insane. There was like light versus dark, like statues, like there's good statues and bad statues, and like I don't very strange aesthetic that Kuja has, but whatever. And then my other favorite location was Olivert. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's like this like forgotten city or whatever, or like it's like a city left behind by an ancient civilization, which is my favorite thing ever in any game, okay? And essentially, like, first of all, you can't use magic there, which I was stupid and didn't know that. And even though Kuja said that, Kuja literally said that because that's why he didn't want to go there and why he sent Zidane to go there. And I literally picked like two magic users to go with me. Like, anyway, I made it somehow. I don't know how. Somehow I made it. But anyway, you can't use magic there. I don't know if there was a reason for that or just you can't. But it's like there's again, it's like a puzzle place where you have to like do the things in a certain order to open a door to find out what this place was to get the special MacGuffin that Kuja wants, whatever. But like it is so cool, and like it starts to give you the narrative of like this other world or like this ancient civilization that like existed, and like the hubris of man, and then of course every civilization doesn't last forever and it starts to fall apart, and then they came up with like a plan to like make sure that they wouldn't like not exist and whatever. So I was like, oh, this is so good. And anyway, I won't talk anymore about it because I've already talked too long about it and y'all know about it, but I've super duper enjoyed it. I'm at the end of the game now. I actually haven't finished it yet. I'm at the spoiler alert, but Kuja has committed mass crimes against Terra. And so I am now going to confront him. I assume that's the end of the game, but I don't know. Maybe there's more to it. But I assume Kuja's the last villain. And Kuja's a crazy villain to me. I don't feel, even though he's like, he has his reasons for doing what he's doing. And I will say, okay, I will say that when Garland, who is the other villain involved here, when he explained, excuse me, sir, what are you doing? When he explained like what he's doing and why Zidane exists and why Kuja exists and stuff like that, it was a bit convoluted for me. Like what I understand, again, spoilers, what I understand about what Garland is doing is, again, he's part of this ancient civilization that are trying to survive. And essentially there's two worlds. There's Terra and there's Gaia. Gaia is where we came from, and we managed to get ourselves to Terra somehow. But these two worlds seem to be connected in some way, but I don't fully understand how, but there is a connection because obviously you can travel from one to the other. It kind of reminds me of Tales of Arise a little bit, or Tales of Symphonia, where like the worlds are connected in some way and influence each other in some way, but they are still separate in some way. And so it seems to me that Garland and this ancient civilization on Terra, their plan before all of the people went to sleep, except for Garland, because he's in charge of the plan, is that they knew that their planet was dying, so everybody went to sleep except for Garland, and Garland was in charge of making like almost like puppets, or like like basically empty shells with bodies, like almost like androids or robots or puppets. I don't know, but so which you see earlier. This alludes to something that happens earlier in the game, which is really interesting as well. And these puppets are called genomes. And essentially, they are just there to exist until a soul can occupy them. And eventually, it will be the souls of these people that have gone to sleep. And Zidane is a genome, and so is Kuja. But they have been given souls already. And their jobs were to go to Gaia. Garland sent them to Gaia in order to cause mass genocide and mass murder and mass destruction and war, in order to disrupt the cycle of souls on Gaia, which would somehow allow, now I have no idea what that means, but that's what he kept saying, but that would somehow allow Terra to take over Gaia and for the worlds to collide, I think, in some way, or at least for the people to be able to then go there and occupy, I think, because their world is dying. They need they need Gaia for resources. And that's the master plan. So Zidane found out that he was supposed to be like a weapon of war, and he got really depressed because Zidane has no memory. Okay, like something Kuja got mad at the fact that Zidane existed because Zidane is more powerful than Kuja. I mean, I haven't really perceived that, but I assume it's because like latent abilities he doesn't remember, so he doesn't know how powerful he is. But I mean, other than he's used his fighting abilities for good, you know. So Kuja did something to Zidane, which I assume we'll find out what, you know. But he got jealous, and Kuja knew that Garland was going to discard him. So he got jealous of Zidane, so he made it so that he wouldn't remember who he was. And Zidane ended up being adopted and raised by other people, and he learned to be a person instead of a mass murder machine. Kuja, on the other hand, remained a mass murder machine, but he had a different plan in that he wanted to ensure that he wouldn't be discarded. So he wanted to take over and, you know, like even mess with Garland and whatever. He wanted to make himself unexpendable, I suppose, and so powerful that nothing could get in his way. Blah, 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 blah. So that was like Kuja's plan, and it's all because he doesn't want to be thrown away because genomes, I guess, they think they're just expendable, and I guess he was made, according to Garland, in a way that he was not going to be immortal. Like his soul, whatever soul got put into him, was had a time limit on it. Like Garland made sure of that so that he wouldn't exist at some point in time. And when Kuja found that out, boy did he freak out. Okay, man. Whoa. But so yeah, anyway, so those are like the, like, I get that Kuja has a reason, but no reason that he has gives him the license to be as evil as he's being. I'm like, bro, okay, I'm so sorry that you have a time limit on your life, but so did everybody else or whatever. And that your soul potentially is gonna get sucked out of your body. I have no idea. And maybe you're gonna get used for something else, or you're just gonna disappear. But brother, that does not give you a right. Anyways, like, usually, like, not always, especially for Final Fantasy villains. Most of the time, I don't feel a lot of sympathy for the bad guys because they are truly evil. But like in the more like maybe more recent ones, or I mean, I can't even think of a more recent villain that I've really cared about. I guess not, but usually there's something about the villain that I like because there's something very interesting about them. But Kuja, I just do not like him. I do not like this guy. He's very rude and he's very smarmy and not in a cute way. Okay. So, and he's just evil. But honestly, that I appreciate, because I think too often nowadays villains in stories are given too much of a pass. It's like, oh well, they've been abused, or oh well, they've suffered this or they've suffered that or whatever. Okay, there's no reason to be evil. There just genuinely isn't. And I really appreciate that even though Kuja does have a reason to be like distraught, okay, sure, his existence is distressing, um but I love that he is still just purely evil, and there's nothing redeemable about him in my opinion, because the stuff that he does is insane. I truly believe that, and I appreciate that a villain is a villain. Like, I should hate him, and I do, and because of what he's doing, not, you know, nothing else really. Well, and because this is his philosophy, this is how he's decided to live his life, so I am not a fan. So I appreciate that good and evil are very defined in this game, and I think you see that in a lot in the older Final Fantasies. I think sometimes there can be a little muddling in the new ones. Like, I really, again, I didn't like 16 at all. I don't know that it was muddly, but like it was annoying. Okay, I hated it. Um, for so many reasons. But anyway, so I just think a lot of stories nowadays can muddle those things, and I appreciate that, especially like 6, 7, 8, 9, which are the ones that I have. There's no question what's good and evil, and even going on to 10, no question. Like, the bad guys are the bad guys, the good guys are the good guys. Preach it, okay. So okay, I've yapped way too long. I've laughed way too long about Final Fantasy 9. You should play it too. It's really fun. And so since I did that, back in the day, I used to play on my brother's PSP. I still have my brother's PSP because he didn't want it anymore. And I kept it because I love Crisis Core, and I will still only play the. I mean, I have the remastered one, but it is not the same, and it is not as good. And I have the original Crisis Core, and from Final Fantasy VII. Okay, the Zack's story, the original story, not the whatever they're doing now. So I kept the PSP to be able to play that, and it's not in the best condition. Like it doesn't. Sometimes it'll just turn off mid game. It's very depressing. But I remembered that I still had two of the Dissidia games, which Dissidia is like so essentially in the Final Fantasy universe, which this was genius. Okay, bring it back, please. This was actually good. Um, but so in the Final Fantasy universe, all of the heroes come together to fight with the goddess of order, I think. And then all the villains come together to fight with the god of chaos. And it's the forces of light and darkness just battling it out for to win, to see which side wins. And I know in the second one, like some of the good guy characters I think cross over into the chaos. Which I think, we all go through seasons, okay, brother, but like no. But I have not played very much of the second one. I've only played the first one all the way through. But yes, I decided after almost being done with nine, we're close, that I wanted to pull out this bet. Look how tiny it is. Isn't it so cute? It's so cute. But I wanted to pull out the PSP because Zidane is one of the leading characters in both of them on uh was it Order? I've literally been playing this. I think it's Order versus Chaos, Light versus Darkness. But anyway, he's on the good guys team both times, I believe. And Kuja is on the villain side, of course. So I was like, I must play through this because first of all, you get Zidane, get his voice acting because I don't know. I previous to that, I don't know if he had ever been voice acted. I really have no idea. But there is no voice acting in Final Fantasy IX. That only happened in 10, which is crazy to think. It was only one game away from having voice acting. But I really like the voice actor that they used in Dissidia. I think he sounds very fun and charming and a little bit goofy, and that's exactly what he needs. So that's really fun. It's really fun, and I like being able to fight the other villains from the other games. And now I've played all the games where well, except for the one with Bart, I have yet. I think that's five. I think that's five. I have not played that one yet, and I should because he looks adorable. Okay. Um, but all the other ones, yes. So I'm like, yes, let's actually play through this. I love this, and so far it's been very charming. I haven't gotten very far yet, but because I don't play very often, like I said, it takes me a while. But I'm excited to play through Dissidia and obviously finish nine. Um, but I also, again, I really like this even though this game has like these goddess god characters, whatever, whatever. But it's like lowercase g, so it's fine. But I really love again the fight of light versus darkness. I love that Final Fantasy makes that very clear. And even if you love the villains, you know that they're the bad guys. And I think that that's a good thing. And I think the reason why anyone would appreciate a villain is that they're doing villainy. Not that you approve of the villainy, but it's like, okay, I can appreciate that this is a well written character and that their motivations are like to destroy, and that should be the motivation of a villain. Like a villain should not, I mean, like they're self serving in every single way. That's also a motivation of a villain. Like Garland, who completely his obsession is with ensuring the survival of Terra at the destruction of Gaia. Like, hello. So, but anyway, I appreciate that. I appreciate that they're not like these sad, like, I'm sorry. Maybe it's just because I've been like a more recent trend in writing or in books right now. Now, I am not reading these books, but like I listen to a lot of booktubers and stuff like that and hear what they have to say. And a lot of like, like the villain, or like these characters, the morally gray character. Like, I'm just not down for that. I'm like, you're either a villain or you're a good guy. And I'm not saying that there aren't morally gray things that can happen in our lives where it's like, do you tell a lie to save a person, or do you, like, I mean, there's things like Jean Valjean stealing a loaf of bread in order to feed his family. Like, okay, I'm not saying that those things don't exist in our lives, but what I'm sick of is like making these characters who are nefarious, but we're supposed to care about them, or we're supposed to like excuse their behavior, or like, but they're hot, like, I'm just like, I'm not here for that. I'm not. You are, if you're doing nefarious stuff, you're a bad guy, and I'm not falling for it. Don't play with me, okay? So I just appreciate that. Anyway, so I'm done yapping about Final Fantasy, but only for now. You know me, I love Final Fantasy. So when I finish 9, I'll probably talk more about it. But those are my initial feelings on it. And of course, if I play through Dissidia, maybe I'll talk about all of that, because I mean, my favorite boy's in it, Cloud Strife. He's my favorite Final Fantasy boy of all time. Okay, and I have a lot of favorite Final Fantasy boys, but he is top tier because he was the first Final Fantasy boy that I ever saw. So anyway, we're done with that. I'm done with that. I'm now going to talk briefly about the few things I'm reading. Well, the two things I'm reading. I only have two. So for nonfiction, I've got The Deconstruction of Christianity, What It Is, Why It's Destructive, and How to Respond by Elisa Childers and Tim Barnett. So this is a book that's talking about a current thing going on in our world, especially in social media spaces, where people are deconstructing their Christianity. Now, that does not mean that, because some people use this term and they are defining terms right now. This is what I'm reading, is the definition of terms. Deconstruction to some people means like reevaluating the things in your faith that you have been raised to believe, but maybe they're not really true. But that's not true deconstruction as most people refer to. Deconstruction of Christianity means that you are essentially leaving the faith entirely. You're not believing core tenets of the faith, or you're just like, you're not a Christian anymore. For the most part, it seems like you are not a Christian anymore. Like, if you say you're deconstructing Christianity, that means you do not believe in Christianity at all. Like, even if you're clinging to maybe like some things, like a lot of them seem to turn out to be agnostic, which means you believe in God, but you're not like, you're hopeful. You're hopeful that God's out there. You're hopeful something is out there that's bigger than you. But you no longer believe that the Bible is telling you the truth, okay? You don't believe in the authority of the scriptures. You don't believe that God is out there. You don't believe in all of the laws. You don't believe in anything that is Christian. Which is really, really, really sad. Like, I'm honestly heartbroken for these people, because if you were raised in the faith, and I'm not saying, some people get raised in churches that are not good churches, okay? I've been to some churches where like were very legalistic in a way, or I mean, I was very young, so sometimes I wonder if like I took in the messages that were said, and I am prone to legalism. I've learned that about myself. Like, I am very much I feel like I have to earn like love in general with just people, let alone with God. And so I've learned that about myself, that is something that I'm just prone to, and I have to be very careful to not fall into that. In every day, like, praise God that he's so merciful and gracious with me, because this is something that I struggle with. But I know that there are some very real churches that are very legalistic, or almost cult-like in their behaviors, and abusive. And I know that these people, most of them have been hurt by the church, and that is so for real. But my thing is like, yes, you've been hurt by the church, which is run by humans, which are very fallible and sometimes very wrong and very evil. But that does not give you license to turn your back on God, who loves you and hates what happened to you. Okay, he hates that. He does not condone that. That is not him. Okay, and I know sometimes it is hard for us to separate the church from God. Okay, because we think, well, these people are supposed to be representatives of God, and yeah, we are supposed to be, but sometimes we suck. So my heart breaks that people are just completely leaving because of that. And Sometimes it's on, I mean, that is everybody's personal choice, so you are responsible for your personal choice. But I understand that sometimes it comes from a place of truly being wounded. And I hope for a lot of these people that maybe they step away from like church life or stuff for a while, but that they are then drawn back. Because the thing is when when you truly have given your life to Jesus, nothing can take that away from you. Like, God is the author and finisher of our faith, and like, if we've truly given our lives to him, nothing can take that away. So part of me thinks that maybe some of these folks, and I'm not going to make any judgments, but maybe some of them never really gave their life to Jesus, and therefore don't, they just never have fully understood it, and that's heartbreaking in itself. Like, they need, I want them to see and feel and know the love of Jesus, because I've been through some hard times and some bad times with the church, or just my own faith walk, and things like that, and it is a not easy thing to go through those hard times. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that I could never turn away from what I know is true. And our God is not a God who is like putting pressure on us, or like, any pressure that I ever feel is something that I'm putting on myself, and then I have to give that back to God, because I know, like, this is not God doing this, right? And like, yes, it's not always easy to follow the law. It's a lot easier to follow culture. There's no pressure there. But like, the whole point is we are not supposed to go with culture. We are supposed to be different. So anyway, it's truly leads me to want to learn more about it. Obviously, that's why I'm reading the book, and to pray for these people, and this movement would collapse in on itself, because there's nothing more useless than deconstructing something that is true. And it seems to me that deconstruction never ends. Like, they're just constantly deconstructing, and living in this state of like hopelessness, and thinking that nothing is true, which is a wild thing to think. So, it sounds very hopeless. So anyway, that's my nonfiction. Let's keep these people in prayer. But my fiction, Moonscript by H. H.S.J. Williams. Okay, the Kings of Aselvia series. Guys, guys, this is my new favorite series. And I'm only like halfway through, okay? Maybe a little more than halfway. I am in love with this book, okay? She has written this in like so beautifully. First of all, I love elves. I've always had a soft spot for elves since I read Tolkien's works. Okay, so having a series with a world in which elves live and the main characters are elves, please sign me up. First of all, but second of all, the thing that I am like, honestly, I have cried reading this a few times, which sounds a little weird, maybe, but because I'm going through a really tough season myself, and so much of this book touches on spiritual warfare, like on light versus darkness, on what is happening behind the scenes, right? What is happening around us that we can't see. Like, that is like one of the main themes of this story. And our main character, Aaron's, is going through a serious period of darkness in his life, years of torment and torture, which have led him to be a very broken person. And because of that, he is haunted by the darkness, which is evil incarnate. Like, that's the enemy. Okay. And the darkness wants to take away everything that is good. And I'm not going to go into all the details. When I'm finished with it, I will talk more about it. But essentially, he is constantly at war with the darkness, and he has other companions that are with him. One of them being a young girl named Telly, who is able to see. She has like this ability, a gift of her spirit, that allows her to see the stuff going on in the unseen realm. Okay, so every now and then, not all the time. And so she's able to see how Aaron's is being harmed, but also she can see the prayers that surround him, and she can see, like, briefly see the prayers that surround herself. And just, I mean, that brought tears to my eyes to think about, oh my gosh, yeah, we are literally surrounded by the prayers that have been prayed over us, because God does not leave our prayers unanswered. They may not always be answered the way we expect, or maybe even the way we want them to, but when we pray prayers of protection around somebody, or to encourage their hearts, encourage their faith. God does not leave that undone or like he's there. Prayer is the best thing to help the battle of the spiritual realm, right? And so I just truly appreciate that she is going in this direction with this story. I don't know what else to say other than that I love it so far. And I was not at all expecting it. And I'm so excited. Like when I'm done with this, I'm trying not to buy books right now, as much as I can. I keep buying my niece books though. I can't help it, okay? But I'm trying not to buy me books, okay? Because girl, stop. But when I'm done with this, there's another book called Collusion, and then there's a novella called something else, I don't know, but it's based on one of the secondary characters in here, whom I love so far. So I will be buying both of those as a treat for myself when I'm done with this book, because I am just loving it, dude. It is so good. Please pick this up. I think you will be very charmed by it. And truly, like, talk about having faith content. This book, this lady, she'd be loving Jesus, because this book is just full. I think she's a lady. I'm pretty sure she's a woman. I follow her on Goodreads. I'm pretty sure. It's embarrassing if not, but she loves Jesus, and you can just see that through and through. And I just again love how she brought spiritual warfare into this story, because that is really powerful, and it's something that we deal with every day. And if we don't realize that, like, that's sometimes why we're having a bad day, because the enemy wants to take us down, you know what I mean? And trust me when I say, oh, girl, I wish I didn't fall for it so many times. Okay, it's so embarrassing. But anyway, it just reminded me, as I read that today, it reminded me so much of how much I need to be praying for the people that I love, how much I need to be praying for strength and strengthening of my faith, and just all these things. Like, it's just, and praying for the nations, and praying for strangers I don't even know, people who are going through some things, and just there's so much to pray for. And I just realized, I don't know, why do you need a fiction book to know that that's the truth? I don't. I know it's true, but fiction that is Christian fiction, especially, okay, has a way of kind of bringing things to light that maybe you're just so used to hearing it in church or whatever, but you don't take it out with you. But it just makes it just, I don't know, it just made it more real for me today. So I was like, oh yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? So please, you must, if you love fantasy and you love fiction, you love Christian fiction, you will so much love Moonscript, I think. I think you will. I have enjoyed it immensely. It's really powerful story, and I love it. And again, good versus evil, powerfully written, okay? And I just love that, okay? I think that's the theme of this video, is good versus evil, because everything that I have played or read and enjoyed has been battles of good versus evil, and there are clear lines drawn, okay? And I just think that that is something that I really appreciate right now. So anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you're reading or playing or enjoying. Maybe you're watching a TV show that you really like, whatever. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you are enjoying right now. Trying to think if there's anything else to say. No, I guess that's it. I'm doing a lot of writing recently. Nothing super, I am actually revising the project, which I've talked about briefly, but I'm also writing other stories. I really want to write a children's story. Uh, which I've talked about a little bit, I think, in the past, but I'm not going to go into details now because that would be too long. But I'm working on a couple of children's stories and some side stories for the Invarus universe, which is having to do with the project. Um, so, got many hands in the pot. I don't know when I'll actually finish something other than the revision of the project, which is the main thing I'm working on. But I'm really enjoying it so far, and I thank God every day for imagination and story writing, because it is such a beautiful way to bring forth faith concepts like spiritual warfare, and also just to glorify God by using our gifts and talents for Him. So, yes, anyway, I think that's it. So have a great day, guys. Remember that I love you, but Jesus loves you way more. Okay? And have a good day.